A worker watches freight wagons loaded with coal in Mpumalanga, South Africa, on September 29, 2022. The mapping by consulting firm AmaranthCX vividly illustrates scale coal mining and granting industry-related rights at Mpumalanga Highveld. This threatens proliferation renewable energy projects and possibly agriculture in a productive part south. The Grain Belt of Africa. The map is a project by AmaranthCX director Paul Miller to fill the transparency gap created by South Africa's lack of a proper mining cadastre. On the Daily Maverick Explainer A, mining cadastre and public transparency. After years of delays, the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy is bidding to provide one, but it will take at least a year for anything to materialize. The AmaranthCX map, put together from sources like Google Maps and descriptions of listed companies, shows that much of Mpumalanga Highveld, from Gauteng to Machadodorp, is parceled out for coal mining. A striking picture that most South Africans are unaware of. The map raises environmental red flags as well as concerns about renewable energy and agriculture. Mpumalanga is vital for renewable energy projects. The Northern Cape and Karoo are much better areas for solar power, but Mpumalanga is the most efficient place to connect to the grid, as coal-fired power plants are out of service. And yet, for example, better than Denmark for solar energy. However, much of the land that could be used for renewable projects in the state's Highveld region has been sterilized for such purposes. Section 53 Mining and Petroleum Resources Development Act must apply to the Minister for approval as prescribed, surface of land that may be contrary to any purpose this act or such object. It does not apply to farming or land use that is included in an approved town planning plan. From my understanding, farmland outside of a declared town planning plan cannot be used for any purpose other than agriculture or agriculture-related purposes without a Section 53 application, Paul Miller, director of AmaranthCX, told Daily Maverick. 53. The difficulty faced by applicants within the scope of this article is that certain information required under these regulations cannot be obtained easily. For example, we objected to applicants whether, among other things, holders of exploration, mining, exploration or production rights within a 2-kilometer radius of application area have been identified and, if so, they've been consulted under zoning plan. This creates a regulatory nightmare that must be channeled through the DMRE, which is not famous for its efficiency. In our experience, applicants are informed as to whether any party has mineral rights with respect to area of application only after Section 53 application has been processed by DMRE and applicants have been referred by DMRE. Consulting such parties that have or are applying for such rights, Miller said. So, without a cadastre, renewable energy developers have to ask the DMRE where the mineral exploration and mining are so they can consult them, but just like with mining rights and exploration enforcement, it is really difficult for authorities to take appropriate action. A geospatial research as it spreads to the Mine Land Registry Office and paper files in 14 regional offices and head office. This means that the absence of a functional cadastre is not only a deterrent to investing in the mining sector. It is a barrier to renewable energy projects where it is needed most. The extent of coal mining also poses a threat to food security at a time of cost of living crisis and rising hunger. Expansion of mining in Mpumalanga remains a threator major competitor to agriculture in the state, especially cornfields. Research by the Bureau of Food and Agricultural Policy in 2010 suggested that we could lose about 1 million tons of corn production in the state if mining expands aggressively. For this reason, we need to increase agricultural production, especially grain and oilseeds, in provinces such as Eastern Cape. This will allow us to compensate for any hectare or tonnage loss in Mpumalanga, said Wandile Sihlobo, chief economist at the South African Chamber of Agriculture and Commerce. Still, it is necessary to look at this issue today in context of the green agenda, where coal mining may not grow as aggressively as we thought in 2010s, and there would be no big competition for farmland under this scenario. There are also regulations that protect agricultural lands, he said. Coal is increasingly deprived of the capital it needs to survive, as more and more banks stop financing new projects involving fossil fuels as it is linked to climate change. But coal mining in Mpumalanga isn't going to stop anytime soon, and it still provides about 90% of the power to fail Eskom. And this requires an appropriate mining cadastre to shine the light of transparency on the allocation of mineral rights in a critical region mostly divided for coal.